Okay, well, I'm going to invite you guys to do something. I think it's most of us at this time of the year we reflect, and normally we reflect about what we want and what do I want, who do I want to be next year, which can engage. Well, it does engage the identity to get aroused, and it goes, oh yes, I want this and I want that, and next year I want this to happen, and I'm gonna create my TV show and publish my book and whatever, and nothing wrong with that. It's just that a lot of the things that you come up with, it's not real. It's the it's it's fabricated, and it's fabricated because the identity is just looking for things. Ego is looking for things to do, to engage with, so it can continue to weave its identity with some of those things. Now, sometimes from time to time, something actually drops in, which is actually real for you. And that's the key difference there. It drops in. It's you didn't decide it, you realized it. Again, when I refer to, when you find love or realize that you love your children or you realize you love something that you love to do, you don't decide those things, you realize that you love them, and then you decide, and after that, you make decisions on how you choose to proceed with those things. I love my child. I realize I love my child. Okay, then you make decisions about what you're going to do about that. Cool. I get it. So you make some decisions. But the decision of loving your child is not a decision that you made, it's a realization that you had. Yeah. So, Nina, yeah, cool. If you, that'd be great. Thanks. So I get very distracted when people move around. So it's really important for you to, yeah, I guess I'm just putting that out there. And so what happens at the end of every year, everyone starts to sit to themselves and go, well, how do I want next year to be different? What do I want to do? What do I want to achieve? And I think what's a little bit more powerful, because again, that is a powerful question because it's putting your, attention on what you want. But a lot of the things that you say you want, you don't really want. You want it because you have an agenda. I want that because I'm not happy. And if I have that, I'll be happy. I want that because I don't feel safe. And therefore, if I had that, I would feel more safe. I want that because I'm bored. And if I had that, then, you see, they're not really what you want, because what you truly want is coming from a space that it already has, So, I love my child. You already have that love. You just realize you now have it for this person, or I love to do this. And a lot of times people find themselves, you know, in a career or in a business or doing something that they didn't even decide to do. They just went, "Oh, I just found myself here." How did you find yourself? Well, one day I was walking, and one day I went out with my friend, or one day I went to my dad's work, and then I realized I love this. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that a lot of times when you say I want this for next year, in what you write down or what you reflect on, a lot of it is not really what you want. A lot of it is what you think you want in order for. Does that make sense? A lot of it is a means to an end for an outcome or a goal or a result that you think is going to make you feel more happy, more safe, more valued, everything that you perceive to lack. So you think, if I have that, then I can improve where I lack. And what I'm saying to you is that what you truly want doesn't come from lack, it comes from love, it comes from infinity. And therefore, when it comes to you, you realize you have it. I love my child. I love flying, whatever it is. And you realize it. So, in order not to get stuck in the, coming up with a list of things that you might fabricate, and again, it's not that, you might write a list of things that might be fabricated. And by fabricated, it means like, Oh, I feel I want that, but really secretly, it's not what you feel you want that. You're having an emotional attachment to wanting that because if you have that, then it would mean I no longer would be feeling small. It would mean I no longer would be feeling devalued. It would mean I no longer feel unsafe. It would mean something. So that's what I mean. And a lot of the times you will set out in the new year and accomplish a lot of those things that would mean this. And what happens is you come to the next year and you realize it didn't mean that. I still feel unsafe. I still feel undervalued. But now I feel undervalued in my relationship. I felt undervalued in my work, but now I feel undervalued in my relationship. Or now my kids don't value me. Now it just changes form. Right. So, what I'm inviting you guys to do is that instead of sitting down and writing and reflecting about what you want this new year in 2000 and what year we're going to, 26, maybe you should sit down and ask yourself what you're going to leave behind in 2025. Because that you can do. That one you can be clear. You know, what is it that you don't, how do you, what part of you do you want to leave behind? Maybe it's the way you think. Maybe it's the way you drive. Maybe it's the way, um, you know, a certain way you approach your life. What about you or what about 2025 are you happy to just conclude with? And as you move into the new year, you don't move on with that. Write that down on a piece of paper and burn that on New Year's Eve and move forward with leaving that behind. That one you're less likely to fabricate something, and the thing is, as we leave things behind that no longer serve us, that never belonged to us, right? As we leave things behind, what happens magically is that we actually create space for what it is that we truly want. Not fabricated, you make space and it drops in. And then you become clear, this is what I want to do moving forward. And you go, I don't know, it just came to me. These things are always coming to you. I posted a video on my Instagram yesterday. Yes, it's an older video. I'm a little bit slimmer, a lot shorter hair, in case you noticed. And that video is, talking about what the number one reason people don't follow their intuition. And I say the number one reason people don't follow their intuition is not because they're not intuitive. It's because they have too much noise over here. What should I be doing? What could I be doing? What's the right thing to be doing? What's my next step? This is making a lot of noise. It's not that intuition is not speaking to you. Intuition is always speaking to you. It's speaking to you in the moment, for the moment. It's always present, but you're not present with it. Why aren't you present with it? Because you're present to the noise. You're engaging, you're involved, you're enrolled with the noise. So therefore, you're not aware of the intuition. Same thing. A lot of what people say to me, they go, I don't know what I want. One of the biggest things I used to say when I would deliver the WTF live back in the day, I would deliver the WTF. And of course, a big part of the beginning of the WTF, the first half or first half of the first day is, hey, you got to do what you love. You got to find what you love. You got to do what you love. Stop doing what you need. Stop trying to, live for the future and means to an end. Do what you love. And of course, one of the biggest questions that I would get asked after that component of the program is, what if you don't know what it is that you love? Because there's such a big group of people that don't know what they love. And of course, what I would say to them is, well, if you don't know what you love, do you know what you don't love? They're like, yes, everybody knows that. Why? Why does everyone know what they don't love? Because they're doing it. They're doing all the things they don't love. Why are you doing that? Because it means this. It either means this or it's either a means to an end. I have to do it. It means I can provide for my children. It means I could get to there. It means it's always these meaning things or a means to an end. And I say to them, well, if you know what you don't love, can you write a list of all the things you don't love? And they're like, yeah. So instead of writing a list of what they love, they're writing a list of what they don't love. So from the top all the way to the bottom. And of course, the biggest one is like, I don't love my job. Or I don't love the relationship. I don't, whatever it is. It's, they have this big one right at the top. And I get them to continue to write that list until all the things are becoming, oh, I don't love to get up early in the morning. Or I don't like it when it rains. I don't know. It just becomes less relevant things. And then I say to them, well, why don't you, instead of trying to look for what you love, why don't you start by stopping doing some of the things you don't love? And you don't have to do the one right at the top. Everyone wants to go and straight for the juggler. Okay. I mean, I would too. That's the kind of person I am. But the problem with going straight to the top is you haven't built the muscle of letting go some of the things that you don't enjoy doing and getting confidence from doing that. They want to go straight to the top. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to leave my relationship. I'm going to, whatever it is, some huge thing. I'm going to, and it's just like, let's take some baby steps and go down to the bottom of your list and let's start crossing off. I'm no longer going to do this anymore. Cross it up. I'm no longer, and you start to work your way to the top of the list. And as you do that, you start to gain more confidence, more assurance, and as you go higher and higher, and as you go and stop doing some of the things that that you don't enjoy doing, what happens is you start to find space. Okay, what happens when you start to find space? Because again, you are consumed by all the things that you need to do that you've forgotten about all the things that you love to do. You've forgotten what they were. And even if the things that you love to do was present with you and it was speaking to you in the moment, you weren't hearing it because there was too much noise of what I need to do, who I need to become, what I need to achieve, right? So I asked them to stop doing the things they don't enjoy. And as they do that and gain more confidence and release and just cross that list off and work their way up, they start to realize they have more space. And as they have more space, the things that they do love starts to become apparent. And they go, oh, yes, I've always loved this. I loved this when I was 6 years old. Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about it. Total, in 2013, I started flying. Most people don't know, but when I was 15 or when I was 16, I went solo in an aeroplane. I used to fly when I was 16 years of age, but I never finished that childhood dream of becoming a pilot. I got distracted with the world, and I ended up doing what I'm doing today, and I was traveling around the world. And in 2013, when I decided to stop speaking, for whatever reason, I won't go into that right now, but there was a moment where I decided to stop speaking. It became clear to me after I stopped to speak, why am I not flying? And then I realized, because I started to have more space, I've always loved flying. I loved flying when I was a kid. That's right. I used to fly when I was 16. And it just became clear to me. And I picked up the phone and I booked my first flying lesson in 2013. And you know, how many years ago was that? 12 years? 12 years later, I mean, to be honest, 2 or 3 years later, I had my own aviation company. I'm doing what I'm doing and so on. So again, I'm just giving you an example, a reference point, because what happens is you suddenly have space, and when you have space, you're like, oh yeah, I've always loved to do this. Or even if you had no history or recollection of you've always loved to do this, when you realize that you love to do something, it feels like somehow it's been a part of you. Somehow it's part of your makeup. Somehow it just feels so familiar that you're like, yeah, I really love to do this. Somehow you knew it. Feels like somehow you knew it, even though you didn't. You have no history. Like for me, I had history with the flying thing, right? I had no history. Suddenly you feel so connected and feels so familiar. It feels like I've always known this, but you didn't. It's like when you meet someone and you have a deep connection and you've known them for one day, 1 week, 1 month, but you feel like, I feel like I've known you for a long time. Like we go way back because really you do, your souls do. You're such a, you're connected at such a deep level, it's timeless. And then suddenly you're like, I feel like we go way back. Like, I feel like I've known you forever. Who's ever experienced anything like that before? It's the same. It's the same. They're the real stuff. They're the real connections. They're the real things that you love to do. But most people don't know what it is they love to do because they've been enrolled, engaged, and consumed in what they need to do. What's There's love and there's need. Now, what's need driven from? Is need driven from love? No, need's driven from fear. So when you're engaged in need all the time, and I know there's things you need to do, I got it. So I get the hierarchy of needs, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I get all that, and there is you need to put shelter and you need to pay your rent, and I get it. And I'm not saying you don't, in but where are you going to put the priority of what you love? Because if you just keep prioritizing what you need, and again, it just, the need list gets bigger and bigger. It's like an infinite list. The more you focus on what you need, it just keeps getting longer. It's bottomless. I need to do this. I need to, but once I've made my $1 million, then I need to do something to make the $1 million safe. So then I need to do this, and it just keeps going. And that's all driven by fear. And all I'm saying is that what's real for you, whether it's a connection with somebody or, that you love it's your children that you love, or it's something that you love to do. All those things come to you. You realize it. To say that I decided to love my child implies that you had a choice in the matter. If you love your child, you never had a choice. The love for your child was there and you realized it. They're the magic. And all I'm saying is, just like our children, when we love our children or your pet or your friend or your best mate or your mother, whatever, there's also things that we love to do that you realize. And a lot of the things that you decide that you love to do can be fabricated, meaning you've attached a meaning to it, or it's a what's the word I just used before? So you've attached a meaning to it, or it's a means to an end. Like I need to do this, so one day when I'm retired, I can have this. And so yeah, I get that in reality there is things that you need to take care of, right? That may be driven from need. Cool, but where are you gonna drop in some time for yourself and what you love? Because if you don't do that, if you don't prioritize that, the list of need just keeps getting bigger and bigger. This is why I tell people that one of the most important things that you can do is to sit by yourself and self-reflect, especially at the end of the year. Self-reflect, because you're putting yourself first and you're giving yourself some space to reflect and have realizations about who you are and your purpose, what you're here to do, some of the things that you didn't even know you wanted to do, who you came here to be, not who you think you need to be in order for more people to accept you. No, that's not it. That's fabricated. You fabricate that feeling. I really feel to be a lawyer, for example, and hey, you might be wanting to be a lawyer. That's not a problem. But sometimes you get like young kids wanting to be a lawyer, for example, because their parents wanted them to be a lawyer. But all they wanted to do is be an artist. You see, I'm just using that as an example because you see that a lot. You see that a lot. The parents are living through their children. And then the child then goes and does it and then becomes unhappy as a lawyer. Now, if he really wanted to be a lawyer, then he would be happy in it. You see, it's a means to an end. It's to make my parents happy. It's to be someone in society. No, but do you love law? Do you love what is involved in being a lawyer? No, I hate it. I hate who I am when I'm a lawyer. I'm just using it as an example. Excuse me if you're a lawyer here, but I'm just using that as an example. It could be a doctor. I don't know. It could be a pilot. If you don't love it, you're doing it because it means something in the story. It doesn't mean something for you. It means something in the story. Therefore, in the story, I will feel safe because it's good money. Therefore, in the story, people will think highly of me. Therefore, in the story, my parents would think great of me. Therefore, in the story, I would then think I'm good. But do you love it? Because unless you love it, you're going to be on that treadmill for the rest of your life or until the moment that you realize that ain't it. So some people fabricate a whole lifetime goal or ambition and realize that was never what I wanted to do. Or there was more that I wanted to do. Like I've been doing this work for many years, close to 2008, I think I started speaking. So what is that? 18, almost 20 years, right? But along the way, I realized that I also love flying. So I decided to finish off that childhood dream of becoming a pilot. And I never attached a goal to that. I never said I'm going to become a commercial pilot. I never said I'm going to buy an aeroplane. Well, I did say I'm going to buy an aeroplane. I will lie about that. But I never said I'm going to become a commercial pilot. I've never said I'm going to buy an aviation business. I just wanted to fly and I wanted to buy an aeroplane. All right. But everything else that came from that, you know, going into aerobatics and buying aeroplane or buying an aviation bit, like all that, I didn't come up with that. I just realized that's what's happening. It was never my goal. Am I happy with that outcome? Yes, I'm enjoying it. I'm absolutely loving it. But it wasn't something I decided, it's something I realized. That's the difference. And all I'm saying is if you don't give yourself much space or and by space sometimes it's time, but sometimes it's letting go of the things that are taking up space, doing the things that are driven completely out of need. That stuff takes up space. Holding on to old stories, that stuff takes up space. If you don't have the ability to do that, then okay, it's probably best for you to sit down and be positive and think about the goals because at least it gives you a direction. And even the goals might be fabricated. Okay, you're better off doing that. But if you're willing to realize what it is that you're here for, who it is that you're here to become, and have those realizations, those downloads, start by making space. Okay. So if you notice this example I just gave to you, which I would talk about in the WTF when I would tell people, well, I don't know what it is that I love. Well, they do know what it is that they love. It's just been buried under all the things they need to do. So then I get them to write a list, and then they start to cross off the list of the things that I enjoy doing, and suddenly they're like, "Oh my God, my life is completely changed just from that one exercise." Yep, my life is completely changed. And hmm, if you look at this, what I've asked you guys to do as we come to the final week of this year, I didn't ask you guys to sit down and write down all the things that you want. I just asked you to sit down and write down some of the things or one thing that you're not going to take with you in 2025, 26. You're going to leave it in 2025. Write down the things that are not welcome in the new year. Write down the things that you're not going to take with you into the new year. And when you've written that list, burn it before the end year. burn it at 11:58, or if you're partying and drinking at that moment, burn it 24 hours prior to that. At some point before that clock hits 12 o'clock, burn that and know that you're done with that. I'm not going to take that with me in the new year. So that was the exercise that I gave to my FTW group, and I thought I gave it to you guys because it's pretty simple, basic exercise, but it's very very powerful. Yeah, so giving you a task or an exercise that's not about what do I want. I mean, the truth is, it is an exercise about what you want, but I'm trying to get you to let go of what you don't want, what's not welcomed in the new year, in order for you to realize what it is that you want, in order for what it is that you truly want to come and for you to realize, rather than you go, what do I want? And the risk with saying, what do I want? You're asking up here. The risk with that is you might come up with things that you don't really want. They're just a means to an end, or they're things that you've placed meanings on. And if I have that, it would mean this. And that just creates a lot of detours in your year. And then you'll come to this moment 12 months from now and you realize I did get that and it didn't give me what I want. It didn't mean that. I still have that lack. I still feel undervalued. I still feel whatever it is.